Alright guys, as promised, I've got some stuff ready for you today, and I have been typing so much that I decided to do a video instead because my hands are killing me. But I did want to go over these on a page-by-page basis, talk about some of the considerations that had to be made in order to get this to work on multiple devices, talk about some of the trade-offs we had to trade off, and also really set the foundation for this being a version 1 with a finer attention to detail. After we launch, we can go back in and tweak this. So I'm going to do one video per page, that way to kind of keep that short, and we can discuss each page as needed, as well as the common elements, and about how best to clean this up over the weekend and on into Monday and Tuesday. Alright, so this is the home page. This is on a local server that I've been developing on. We've already talked about the header. I have moved that from here to the top. That makes everything super easy. You can see that it's no longer it no longer moves with the page. It's fixed there. You'll also see that there is no icon, search icon right here. That will definitely have to be a post-launch. The way that the builder is made now, that is integrated into the overlay. I can pull that out, but there's not enough time to do that right now. So one of the first things that you may notice is that the H tag sizes, they're nowhere near the sizes that they were in the art rendering, and the reason for that is that we had to take a lot of the devices into consideration, and anything smaller than the iPad mini, these started to really break, and I've got some screenshots of it broken, but they're fixed in this. So these are, like, for example, you wanted 100 pixels wide for this. That doesn't work. If I change that to 100 pixels, this thing completely breaks on all devices, even for desktop. You'll notice that we got the icons here. They're in place. Pretty much the home page is what we looked like last time. Everything seems to be in place. Talk about dynamic stuff for a moment. This is, of course, meant to be a Twitter or some type of social media feed. That is not built into this. Any type of dynamic stuff like this will probably have to wait until post-launch, and in the meantime we're just going to have to put manual photos in here and update them because we're coming so far down to the wire, and with cleanup and testing with what we've got now, there would just be no time to add the dynamic feed functionality before Friday, in my opinion. Maybe we'll get a lot done. Maybe we can address it then, but we've got so much to do in the meantime, like get API credentials and things like that. It's just so I can start that process. Alright, so there is what the home page looks like on desktop mode. Let's take a look at, well, first, before we do that, you'll notice that these work. There's the T, the clouds going by, Mount Fuji, the little man walking. There is a problem, though, with the little man walking and the things to do. I'll show that one in a second. The little man walking does not loop. It just stops. I don't know why. I've tried to re-edit, and I've gotten a copy from the downloaded a few times. It just stops mid-walk. You'll see here that the shrine, when I go over it, the art for the rollover is a bit out of place. You can definitely see, like, you know, here it's in the exact same place, so that looks pretty seamless. A little bit of a glitch here based on the art for that GIF. Now, I did notice also, I wanted to talk about these icons. These icons are the PNG versions before the rollover. They're about 60K in size, not too big. You know, I could probably get them a little smaller. But when we roll over, these animated GIFs, they're huge, and they're about a half meg. I can probably get them down a little bit more. I don't know how that's going to affect the quality. We do need to consider, though, just how much the rollovers add to the page size, because these 4 in rollover state add a whopping additional 2 megabytes to the size of the page. It really won't matter on desktop, maybe, I don't know. On mobile, this won't even happen because there is no rollover state, so you just get the dynamic. So it's a cool feature. These look good. I think it's up for discussion. Should be up for discussion. Whether we want better SEO and page rank through a smaller page size and a better optimized page, or if we want to have a large page size just for that extra artistic effect. Alright, so let's look at some of the devices. We can see what that looks like and how these break down. So this is the mobile section. This is what it looks like on a Galaxy S5, a little bit of an older model Samsung phone. That's portrait mode. You can see how that's starting to bunch up there just a little bit. Galaxy S5 is 640 by 360. You can see the icons, they doubled up quite nicely. They're nice and in line. You can see that makes more sense on this device as far as those H2 tags. And that's pretty much it. Where those icons really made a difference, and it's something that you guys can discuss. Maybe you don't want to take into consideration, some of the smaller devices. If we're on that Galaxy and we turn it into portrait mode, you can see how quite of a small screen that is. And when we get down to the now trending area, it fits great for that screen. But in order to be able to get that, we had to make that consideration for the desktop. Now, one of the things that can be done later, can we have a different H2 tag size for the desktop and then a separate for mobile? Yes, but that is almost like designing for separate devices individually, and it's something that can be fine-tuned and tweaked. There's no limit to how much. You can create a page for every device and make it look beautiful on each device, but there just wasn't enough time to do that, so a design direction had to be made to choose a very safe font size zone, so that one font size applies across all devices without breaking, or at least the majority of the most popular ones. Just quickly go through a couple of the more popular. The Galaxy S5 is very similar to the iPhone 5 as far as size goes. So theirs are similar. This is a Nexus, a little bit smaller screen. Everything looks good there though. And if you see any glitches or anything in the emulator, this is an emulator, so there might be some inconsistencies. Certainly we need to check these on real devices, but from a this is the best I could get from a desktop at the moment. Those look, I kept those up, I tried to keep those a pretty decent size so they look good. I did have them 100 by 100, and they were just so small. They felt really out of place, so I tried to make them max about 330 when they're on top of each other. Alright, so we'll take a look at the iPhone 7. Again, very similar. These are all going to be very similar. We can take a look at the iPhone 7 in portrait mode, landscape mode. You can see how those double up side by side. I'm hoping to get these on a public server before we meet. If I can do that today, it's about 3 o'clock here. Don't know if I can get that migrated, but at least by tomorrow we'll have it. Or in the meantime, I can start making changes as we discuss each page. All right, so basically this is the home page. Let's do an iPad just for, so that looks like this is just a regular iPad. You can see it in landscape mode. You see the 4 icons. It looks pretty much very similar to the regular page. And this is the iPad in portrait. And it doubles up quite nicely because everything falls into place. And of course the menu items when they're tapped. Alright, so that is it for the home page. We can start making some notes as to what to change and how, what we want to try to make sure ships with this version for the 15th, and what we can postpone until after that. In my opinion, we just want to make sure everything is, there's something solid working, and then we can, if there's anything missing, at least there's something solid in place that we can incorporate right after the 15th when we have a bit more time.